This is a Filmway channel. This is the movie The Lost Bus. A school bus driver, a teacher, and 22 elementary school students are trapped in the deadliest fire in California history. The action of the film, based on real events, begins on November 7, 2018 in Paradise, California. During this period, the district is experiencing a prolonged drought lasting more than 200 days. Kevin McConaughey, a school bus driver, works here. In the morning, he collects the kids like Pokemon, and in the afternoon he takes them home, trying not to act out the opening scene from the second Nightmare on Elm Street. At the end of the working day, Kevin asks Ruby's dispatcher for extra shifts to cover the hospital debts left over from his deceased father, but to no avail. Then the man returns home, where he lives with his mother and son Sean, with whom he has a strained relationship after the divorce. It even comes to a quarrel, compounding the sad marital situation of an old sick dog, which Kevin has to euthanize at the veterinary clinic. In the early morning of November 8, due to the wind and the general dilapidation of the equipment, a break occurs on the support of the company's power line. The resulting sparks fall on fertile soil suffering from drought, where, according to one-man precepts, a spark will ignite a flame. Emboldened, the first tongues of fire greedily lap up the dry grass, growing as if out of control. Kevin is starting a new shift at this time. The dispatcher reminds that in the afternoon he has to bring the bus number 963 for inspection. When he leaves the depot, another driver informs the fire department about a fire on the slope, where 2 fire trucks from the nearest station are sent. A group of firefighters who arrived at the bridge visually confirms the presence of a fire on the far slopes and makes plans on how to get close to the hearth in order to extinguish it. Rescuers decide to use one of the dirt roads to get closer, but the attempt eventually ends in failure. The California mountains are not the most convenient place for multi-ton trucks. Having assessed the scale of the disaster from a closer distance, the rescuers step back, reporting to the control room, where they are already planning an operational headquarters to eliminate the disaster. Fire Chief Martinez arrives there. An employee named Hopkins gets in touch with him. He's going to the nearby town of Concu. He reports that he sees a fire on the road, which leads Martinez to believe that they are dealing with one large-scale natural disaster, rather than several fires. Kevin is currently immersed in the abyss of urgent matters. He needs to take the medicine home to his son, bring the bus on time for examination. But before that, you need to refuel, and there's a queue at the gas station. At the same time, Ruby broadcasts a warning about a fire threat. Drivers need to be on the lookout. In Concu, Hopkins sees that the fire has reached residential areas. After reporting to his superiors, the guy helps the locals evacuate by putting several people in his car. Fire planes, on Hopkins' tip, are trying to extinguish the fire from above, but strong winds complicate the accurate discharge of water and reagents, reducing efforts to zero, and the approach of fire crews is complicated by debris on the roads. Hopkins finds himself in front of a wall of fire on the riverbank. Then he and the civilians get out of the car to wait out the fire in the water. Along the way, the comrades in misfortune knock down the flames from the poor guy who caught fire. They dive underwater when a wind-driven wave of flame approaches them. Having survived it, Hopkins reports to the operational headquarters that he survived. Kevin, driving through the city on a bus, sees columns of smoke billowing into the sky, an impending forest fire. Firefighters are taking surveillance helicopters and airplanes into the air to predict the movement of the fire. The situation seems disappointing. The flames are moving very fast towards Paradise, threatening to destroy the city along with the inhabitants. The measures being taken are ineffective, and fire aviation assistance from other districts may arrive only after a few hours, when it will be too late. Martinez issues an evacuation warning. At the Ponderosa Elementary School, from the windows of which a fire can be seen in the mountains, teacher Mary Ludwig and her colleagues decide to let the students go from lessons for safety, telling their parents to pick them up. On the way to the depot, Kevin calls his ex-wife about his son. She says that the boy does not want to grow up next to a loser, which upsets the driver. He decides to return to his son instead of a technical inspection and turns around the official Tarantus right in the middle of the road. At this time, Ruby receives a message from Ponderosa said that they have 23 students on their hands, and they need a bus to take them to a safe place. Ruby calls the subordinate drivers, but all of them are doing the same thing, taking children out of other schools. Remembering that he is actually at work and just in the right area, Kevin volunteers to quickly drive along the route, while the valiant firefighters are trying their best to slow down the progress of the fiery elements towards the city. When he gets to school, he signals to the passengers, but they are in no hurry to get out. Mary doesn't want to scare the kids with a pawn, since deadlines aren't on yet, unlike the forests around. Kevin says it makes sense to hurry up, as long as panicked residents don't create traffic jams. However, the teacher takes the school out slowly. At the last moment, the parents pick up one girl and 22 passengers remain on the bus. The driver tells Mary that she will have to go with them. He won't have time to keep an eye on the kids at the pickup point. They are trying to break through traffic jams to the gathering point. Kevin decides to turn off the highway and take a detour, for which he turns around and drives back to turn onto another road. At this moment, communication with the control room is out of order and he does not know that the firefighters are expanding the evacuation zone. The gathering point they are going to is no longer safe. Ruby tries to warn him that he needs to go to another point, to the city of Chico, but without success. The radio doesn't pick up the signal. The fire is gradually devouring the city, and from the clouds of smoke raised, it seems that night has fallen. The roads are clogged with citizens' cars, and instead of an organized evacuation, there are chaotic traffic jams. In addition, some people throw their cars directly onto the roadways to escape on foot or with fellow travelers. After bumping into another plug, the man tells Mary to get behind the wheel, and he gets out to negotiate with the traffic controller to let them through. Although he has a clear order to clear the way for fire trucks, he gives Kevin the go-ahead to follow one of them, for which he has to clear the passage from other cars. Once on the highway, the school bus continues on its way to the pickup point. However, they will be bitterly disappointed on the spot. There is no one there, and the territory itself is already burning slowly, adding firewood to an existing fire. Realizing that they are not welcome here, Mary suggests going to Chico, the neighboring city where the main evacuation center is located. The adults return to the bus, where they calm the terrified children. Kevin drives vehicles along roads drowned in smoke, ash, and painted with flashes of lights. The only thing missing is the "Welcome to Silent Hill" sign. But they are not the only ones who are so smart. There are a lot of cars ahead. Consulting the map, Kevin and Mary try to plot a safe route, but in a rapidly changing environment, this is problematic. Having decided on the direction, Kevin brazenly rushes there, weaving on the road between other cars. The situation is aggravated by power line breaks threatening electric shock. The energy campaign has not yet de-energized the affected areas, but the experienced driver expertly guides the bus through this slalom, cutting through a wooden fence at the end of the route. When they reach the highway they are looking for, they see that everything is there too. Dozens of cars have formed a traffic jam, and firefighters are trying to delay the spread of the fire. In addition, the locals began to indulge in their favorite pastime in the chaos, looting. The robbers try to get on the bus, threatening with a gun, but Kevin steers away, where there is a gap in the lane of cars. The man is trying to radio the dispatcher, just in case, informing him that he continues to drive towards Chico, but does not yet know where he will be able to get through. At this time, the children get hot and thirsty. In addition, smoke from the fire begins to enter the cabin through the air intake system of the air conditioner, forcing it to turn off. The bus gets to the park, from where Kevin knows the way out of town. One of the girls is getting sick. Mary realizes that she urgently needs water. To get it, Kevin breaks near the nearest building. The teacher goes to the faucet, but the water supply system, unlike the electricity, has already been turned off. After searching the neighborhood, Mary sees a trailer whose windows are being blown out. She finds water bottles inside and runs back. On the way, the woman meets some people with guns, but they pass by. At this moment, a propane tank explodes, illuminating the surroundings and scaring the children. The teacher returns to the bus with the supplies, after which Kevin starts the bus and turns it around in the face of the incoming fire. He takes the transport further away, weaving between the flashes of flame in the hope of finding his way away. In Chicaroba, she has to explain to the children's parents that the bus has not contacted them yet, but she is sure that the driver will do everything to deliver them safely. Kevin himself is driving the bus under the edge of the abyss, risking sliding down. At the operational headquarters, Martinus is told that Paradise is on fire, and there is nothing they can do about it. The boss is faced with a difficult choice: to continue fighting the fire ineffectively or to throw all his strength into saving people. He chooses the latter, giving the city to the flames, like Kutuzov, who burned down Moscow, as he reports at a packed press conference. The school bus meets people walking towards it. They explain to the driver that everything ahead is on fire. There is no way out onto the road. But such a fool can't turn around in such cramped conditions either. Therefore, we will have to walk. Leaving Mary to prepare the children for a walk, Kevin goes outside to look around and choose a direction. When he gets to the top of the hill, he realizes that there is a burning fire all around, and they are right in the middle of it. When he returns, he tells the teacher that there is nowhere to go. He remains waiting in place, praying and hoping for a miracle. To make breathing easier, Kevin makes homemade filters for children out of t-shirts and water. Adults take turns sitting with the frightened students, reassuring them as much as they can and promising that everything will be fine. But the adults themselves don't really believe in it anymore. Mary even thinks it's better to let the children breathe in the smoke and fall asleep if the fire hits them. They share stories about their lives. The woman admits that she traveled outside of her native paradise only once, and the driver says that he quarreled with his father at the age of 16, left home and never spoke to him again. When he got sick, he didn't have time to come back to say goodbye. Now Kevin is afraid that the same thing will happen to his son. But when the first flames reach the bus, there is no trace of the former pessimism. Adults quickly grab fire extinguishers, do what they are designed for, put out the fire. In the process, Kevin suddenly catches Zen and gusts of fresh wind in his face. He understands that salvation is not so far away, just a veil of smoke prevents him from seeing it. The man returns to the bus with a brilliant idea. He must boldly drive through the wall of fire. Kevin wins through a forest engulfed by fire in a last-ditch attempt to escape from a deadly trap. The element is trying to get a metal box on wheels, but all it does is slide with its fiery paws. The temperature in the cabin is getting hotter. A little more, it will jump from the category of the first circle of hell to Sochi in August. When Kevin reaches the highway on fire, he presses the accelerator pedal all the way down, not really worrying about crashing into something in the smoke. Suddenly, the gray fiery haze dissipates, and pure sunlight hits my eyes, which have dried up from such brightness in fiery captivity. Unable to believe his luck, Kevin drives the bus further and further, to the evacuation point in Chico, where parents are waiting for the children. They joyfully greet a soot-covered yellow bus stuffed with happy children. Students run out to meet their parents. Mary thanks him personally and in front of everyone. When the emotions have subsided, Kevin gets out of the driver's seat and quietly goes to the check-in point to find out if his mother and son have appeared here. Their names are not on the list, so the man is personally looking for relatives among the new ones. He finds his mother, who was brought by a neighbor. She says that Kevin's ex-wife took his son Sean and that the boy would be better off with her, not with his father. Later, when the fire has gone out, Kevin returns to the ashes of his father's house. Among the charred ruins, he finds a miraculously preserved photo of himself and his son. While inspecting the fire, he sees his ex-wife's car approaching. She brought Sean. The boy silently goes to his father to hug him, thereby showing that they have reconciled. The film ends with a brief summary of the character's future. Kevin became a teacher at Chica, and Mary became interested in traveling. The 2018 fire was the deadliest in California history. He destroyed more than 13,000 houses, 85 people died. The energy company responsible for the fire was charged with 84 manslaughter cases. After admitting guilt in each case, the company paid $13.5 billion in compensation.